All right, now I'm very excited to welcome back two of the great college football cappers in the land. You know them as Mr. Brad Powers from Brad Powers Sports and Chris Fallica, the Bear from Fox Sports. Please follow them on Twitter at BradPowers7 at Chris Fallica, and Chris will be popping in here soon as he had to take a very important phone call. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but here we are, Brad. I mean, college football. I feel like we're in the red zone right now. College football has entered the chat. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, 10 days away from week 0. A couple of interesting matchups to start it off, including that Iowa State Kansas State game. But yeah, I mean we're getting there. It's always football season for me because I mean anytime there's bets to be made, to me that's we're talking football, we're betting football. So, but to have actual games, it'll be refreshing. And you know what'll be super refreshing when you get to week 2. I'm tired of looking at the same board.
Yeah, right. It's like you're looking at the same board all year long, and that gets very, very draining. But you know what? You see these lines move, and you're like, I expected that. And sometimes you're like, why the hell isn't this moved yet? What's going wrong? So it's gonna you play that little mind game going on pretty much for the whole season. So I totally know how that's going on. But man, how's your trip down south? I saw some photos from some of those stadiums that you visited.
Yeah, I wasn't planned. Unfortunately, there was a death in the family, so I had to fly down there, and I had to help the old man drive back from Florida. So we hit some stadiums on the way back. For Florida, I got to be honest, I've hit about 75 now. Florida's number one, uh, and it's not because I think it's the
Wow.
best stadium, but man, when you factor in it's a big time SEC stadium and it's just open, you could do whatever. I can walk around the whole stadium on the interior, sit wherever I want, run the steps. A lot of people are in there running steps and whatnot, whether it's young people, old people, college kids. It's a very chill, relaxed atmosphere. It's been my favorite stadium experience so far, at least among the big ones.
That's cool, man. And that it's nice that they're so welcoming down there, and very
Yeah, I mean, a lot
surprising.
of them. I mean, it's locked up. You can't get it. I mean, the small schools you can always get on the field, but the big
Mhm.
schools, the Alabamas, the Notre Dames, the Michigans, I mean, you're lucky to get in the stadium, let alone be able to walk around the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's tough to get into some of them. Some of them are on lockdown. Some are like, you know what? Let's just be cool to the public, but we'll just kind of protect our stuff. That's what I would do. I just kind of have like in a stadium with nothing that can be, compromised. And just kind of make sure everything's put away and stuff like that. But I think that's great for the community, for them to do that. But my man, before we're waiting on Chris, obviously, but when you think about these football conferences, man, I always think about like some creative ideas that we might have, like some maybe bets that we would like to see. Not even sure what side we'll be on, but do you have like a prop idea that you would like to see the books come out for this college football season?
Well, I got a quick story. I'm a little down on creative props because I had one of my biggest bets of the entire season last year on a creative prop, and I lost when I thought it was going to be a surefire win, and it was total number of wins for teams in an individual state against another state, and it was Alabama versus Louisiana, and it was a liquid market at the time. It was the end of summer, and at that time, if you added up the season win totals for all the teams in the state of Alabama, they had 11 and a half more wins than the state of Louisiana teams.
Mm.
And the book that put this up had Alabama as a 2-1 underdog. So we all bet this at once. I get a ton of people signed into the app. I have people at kiosk. We all hit it at once. I get 5 figures down on this bet somehow.
Mm.
Average price was right around plus 150. Thought it was, priced 2-1. Probably should have been priced minus 2,000. I lost the bet about it.
No.
Most teams in the state of Alabama went under their total. Most teams in the state of Louisiana went over. And somehow
Oh my.
I lost what it was about a $25,000 swing for me.
Oh
So
my
I was
goodness.
not happy, but I guess, to bring it positive, I'd like to, because it was so different last year. Ohio State won the national title with 2 losses. I mean, that's only happened one other time in recent history. That was the LSU 07 crazy season. I'd like them to put up a prop. How many losses will the national champ have? 1, 2, undefeated?
Mhm.
I think that'd be kind of a cool prop. And I'd also say in the playoffs, because there's so much, I don't want to say parity, but I mean, at least at the top, well, I mean, there's a lot of teams that haven't separated themselves like we've seen in college football the last 10, 15 years. I'd like to see, a prop on the playoffs. Will a 3-loss team make the playoffs? Almost a couple made it last year. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a 3-loss team in the playoffs this year.
No, I won't be shocked at all, especially with all these conferences are and getting stronger, a little bit less top heavy. It's funny. I just feel like the SEC is way more up in the air than I've ever seen in my life. And I'm just going to bring back the prop that I asked Mike Palm last year to put up. He actually thought it was a great idea. He took it to his meeting and they turned it down, but he still thought it was a really good idea. I said, have a prop on any Power 5 to finish the regular season undefeated. And I even thought maybe you can even throw the conference championship game in. But the funny thing is I would have lost, Brad. And I think most people would have said no, because we thought Oregon's schedule was a little bit tough and they're the team that went undefeated, So I feel like they left some money on the table by not putting that prop up.
Yeah. Had a close one against the Buckeyes, but other than that, Wisconsin game was close now that I remember. But I wouldn't have had Oregon going unbeaten last year of the teams. I don't have anybody going unbeaten this year. And hell, look no further than the preseason AP #1 team, an underdog in their first game, and a lot of places the preseason #1 team, Texas. So their win total is 9.5. I mean, over's juice, but still, that just shows you, how much parity we do have at the top.
Yes, absolutely, a lot of parity. And Chris just popped in. Chris, thanks for stopping by. I know you were a little bit holed up, but here you are.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries at all.
It's always good when the 2 o'clock butts right up against 3, and then you get a phone call from someone who was involved in your 2 right after 3. So a little bit of a delay, but we're good now. What's going on?
What could go wrong is what Chris likes to say a lot. So I like to use some Bear isms sometimes when I'm doing the pod with him. So we'll see if I can jog my memory today and get some fun ones out. But Brad and Chris, I'm not even sure if I've seen you guys together. Have you guys podcasted together?
I've never known
each other and been in a lot of contests together, but never spoke. So happy to finally be hopping on here talking to you. I respect your work a lot. That's for sure.
Right back at you, ditto.
My God, I've had you guys on for 8 years now, and you've never been together. That is insane to me. Well, here we are.
Kiev.
It is my fault.
Well, trying to wedge me in with Ralph all the time. You want to keep me away from other people.
Poor Ralphie. He was a little beer out for Ralph. He's moving, so he couldn't make it. But we're happy. And he was actually texting with Brad. He's like, "Want to come on the show?" And Brad's like, "Well, I already just did it." But here we are. And we're really happy to have Brad, obviously, too. And you guys together it looks like we're going to make a great team. There will be some disagreement because I know that. Oh yeah, because I know this because I listen to you guys every week. So there you go. We're gonna have a little fun, and we're not afraid to have a little bit of drama. But that's what this show's about. It's kind of like summing up all of our work that we did this year. A little season win totals here. Step on the Duck. Thanks for stopping by. Josh is awesome. Less you bet, the more you win when you lose.
There we go. Less you bet, the more you lose when you win. There it is.
Yep. So that's the ultimate Bearism. So there you have it. LaFernie likes your hat, Brad, the old Houston Oilers hat, like I mentioned earlier. So fantastic. But Chris, just to catch you up, we were talking about props to make. I come up with the one that I told Mike Palm about last year. They never put it up, and then they would have won a lot of money because I said, will any college football Power 5 team finish the regular season undefeated? And you can even throw the conference championship in. The yes would have actually hit with Oregon. So I would have bet no last year, Chris. So
I totally would have bet no.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk to Mike again about that. But do you have one for Mike when I see him next week at the Circa of a possible?
Yeah, I do, and I tweeted this out the other day, and I think, shockingly, with the clientele of my followers on Twitter and the people that I interact with, I put out there it was the day that the AP poll was released. Every year we see a team collapse and fall out from the top 10 to unranked. Shit, Florida State went 2-10 last year. Michigan wound up unranked. If you could bet, if they could have put a price on each of these preseason top 10 teams on, take a yes price on will they fit? There's 7-1 that Georgia will finish I'm just making up a number. 7-1 that Georgia will finish the year unranked, or 11-1 that Penn State will finish the year unranked. People are going to bet that. Obviously, it's got to go through gaming. So just list a price on each of those preseason top 10 teams that they'll finish unranked in the final AP poll. And then if you got the people that want to bet the other way and be like, no, every preseason top 10 team will finish the year ranked, you put a number on that. But I would, that's something I would consider betting, especially like if you have a strong opinion on the loser of the Clemson LSU game, or Miami Notre Dame, or Georgia, like their potential there for teams built in the portal, or maybe the year doesn't start off the way they think it's going to start off, and then they kind of go down the train pretty quickly.
So unranked at all, like not even in the top 25.
Unranked at all.
Okay. I mean, I hate to burst your bubble. It would be Miami for me, Chris. But if I was going to pick any of them, but
that's perfectly fair.
But I would bet that no. I would bet that they will all be ranked. I think Miami would still be in the top 25. I have a lot of shade that I've thrown on Miami, and Brad knows that quite well. But I still think they're going to be just talent wise in the top 25 still. What would you bet, Brad?
I mean, I don't see any of them right now on paper finishing unranked, but Bear's right. There's going to be probably at least a couple that, just past history. Most likely probably be teams 9 and 10 to finish unranked. And I'm just, there's a reason why LSU's win total is still 8.5. Although I think the upside's there. Same with Miami. I think there's a little bit more variance with those two teams and maybe some of the others. But at the end, I'm going to give a shocker as far as the team that I would bet the no on to make the playoffs. Let's just say it's not 9 or 10. I can tell you that.
Well, I hope I'm not stealing a little thunder, because I was just going to hop in and say the team that I would bet, and it would be Georgia. Like the biggest question of the season I have is, can Gunnar Stockton actually play? And while we think he can, we just don't know. You had Frazier drop the ball, lay the ball on the ground a lot last year. The offensive line was subpar for Georgia. How are they going to be at wide receiver this year? I mean, I think you got to give Kirby Smart and the way he's recruited and built that program up the benefit of the doubt and assume that they're going to be good. But you get the flip of the schedule that you had last year with Texas and Bama coming to Athens. But if it goes bad at quarterback, which it probably won't, but if it could, Georgia could be an 8-4 type team, and maybe you're sitting there on the others receiving votes at the end of the year.
That's interesting. And funny you talk about Stockton. I think any of these with a quarterback injury, could knock them out, and so that's why it makes this prop so interesting to me, because I would still put they all finish ranked minus 150, but the truth is like, say LSU loses Nussmeier or something, and Klubnik is gone, hurt, and the team might just tailspin, in those tough conferences, and then they're not even going to finish in the top 25 because of that. So absolutely, that's a great one to think about. I'll bring that up to Mike when I see him next week, Chris. So that's a fun one. Thank you for that. Let's move into the next topic, and that is playoff busts. So I think you guys hinted on it a little bit. So I'll Brad go first. I think Chris kind of answered. Which CF teams favored to make the playoffs do not get in? It's what's funny. There's only 8 that's favored, but if you want to count LSU at plus 110, that's fine. What do you think, Brad?
Well, I mean, obviously LSU, might probably be more the obvious, because I mean, do they even make it at 9-3? I don't know. Even though they play a tough schedule, I'll go with the team at the top, Texas. Yeah, I mean, they're an underdog in week 1. They're going to be an underdog at Georgia. Not saying that those games, I mean, they're very winnable games. We're talking, 2.5, 3 point dog in those games, but I see a team that a lot of faith in Arch Manning. I think he's going to be good. I don't know if he's going to be generational, like everybody's pricing him at. I haven't seen that yet. And if he's going to be generational quarterbacks are playing by their sophomore year, most likely, if not true freshmen, and generational probably beats out Quinn Ewers. So I'm a little concerned there. Concerned about the offensive line. I don't think, they were super experienced last year, but in the big games, they couldn't run the football, period, against Georgia. But, against Ohio State, hell, even against Arizona State, they couldn't run the ball, even though they had like a 60-pound per man advantage as far as weight goes. So an inexperienced offensive line, I'm supposed to believe, could have more upside, but certainly doesn't have the experience. I think the defense is going to be great. But, I mean, The schedule is tougher. I mean, instead of hosting Florida and Georgia and those teams, now those games are on the road. Buckeyes on the road. I could see 3 losses.
All right. Well, I mean, no for Texas is funny. It's minus 320 to the yes, my plus 240 to the no. It's almost like not juicy enough for me to do it.
What Brad hit on there is something that I think the college football community is going to have to understand, and this is where it's going to be the outside of the SEC area. They're going to roll their eyes. Here we go again. Like if you're 9-3 in the SEC, your odds are you're really good. The depth of that league is staggering, and the way the schedules break down, that it's the same schedules as last year, with the exception of the flip at different locations. Like there's a really good chance you get 2 of Texas, Alabama, Georgia, LSU. Like there's a good chance a couple of those teams are 9-3.
Yeah, very true. I mean, the SEC, it's funny, and we'll get to the SEC, but there's just a lot of expectations on a lot of teams. And I was just talking to Brad, Chris, that I just feel like the SEC has been more wide open this year than I've probably ever remember seeing them since Nick Saban has entered Alabama, at least, not LSU, but when he entered Alabama. So totally see and totally agree with that. Yeah, I don't know who I would pick. I think Georgia, maybe, just because of the quarterback situation. I don't know. The other schedules are just too easy for like Notre Dame, and it's just a situation. I think, with the 8 favorite, I guess I would go with one of the SEC teams, LSU. If LSU was in the conversation, it'd probably be LSU. Although I think that, if I wanted to take a long shot to make it, I'd probably bet LSU too, to the title game. But that's an interesting question. I always like to ask it every single year, but I think the whole playoff odds has been a little bit more adjusted this year by the books, because last year there was kind of whack. But we're happy to see that we still have some odds out there and a lot to talk about. Because
Brad, would you agree, Brad, that I'm just thinking of this now at the top 10. Like, would you agree that the one team in the top 10 that probably, if they lost their quarterback, they probably would still be okay as Notre Dame?
Yeah. I don't mind, Nussmeier's great, but Van Buren I like quite a bit at Mississippi State. I think he's a pretty good backup, where I know the offense would look different. But yeah, since Minchie and Carr are so close, and I'm not downgrading the team's power rating that much if one of them got hurt. And the schedule too. I mean, it's front loaded. It's after the first 2 weeks, but after that, I mean, even with a backup quarterback, who's good enough to beat them?
I'm going to change my answer to Clemson. I'm going to hate on Clemson in a little bit, and you guys are about to see that. So we'll hate on Clemson. Bernie Harris chimes in, says Texas no at Circus plus 290. So there you go. If Brad just got to drive about 1,500 miles to the Circus.
No, not that far, Kentucky.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Kentucky. Oh yeah, you can go to Kentucky.
2
That's
hours.
right. All right. Well, there you go. 2 hours. That's not nearly as bad. Just cross the border and get on the app, right? That's all you got to do. Well,
have our guy Dave Ross give you a cot in the guest room.
There you go. There you go. You can sleep there. Well, that's perfect. No more 500-1 mistakes to make the playoffs. That's right. Step on a duck. There is no more of that. Well, let's get into some divisions, some conferences, I should say. I'm getting the NFL mind. I'm going to start with the small conferences. We can kind of blow through these. Just like a season win total or future bet, that, and I had to go through mine too, because it still has to be somewhat available, right? I'm not going to do any that, I made that are gone, but, we'll start with the American Athletic Conference, and I'll just say I did bet Army under 7.5 wins, and Brad and I already talked about that in June before I went on vacation. I think this is how you bet option teams. When they all graduate and they all move on, they're terrible at next year, especially in the beginning. You fade them, but when they kind of come to and they're returning guys and they finish the season well, that's when you get on them. So Army 120th in post-spring returning production on offense, under 7.5 for Army for me. So that's my play. Chris, what about you?
I took a little nibble on UTSA to win the league at plus 550, and I think there's still like 5-1s or so out there. Maybe there's some better numbers. I think last year was a little bit of an anomaly, and you got the opener against A&M, but within the league, like you draw about as good of a road schedule as you potentially could draw. Temple, North Texas, South Florida, Charlotte. You got Tulane at home. Like, I think this is a team that Trailer kind of is built from nothing, and the type of kids that they get, I think they're going to be okay. And outside of Tulane, there's just nobody in this league that really scares me. With Retzlaff going to Tulane now, there's probably a lot of thought that Tulane's just going to run away with this league and go 9-3, 10-2, go over the win total. But I think UTSA is a team that a lot of people might be sleeping on a little bit this year, just because they had a down season last year.
Interesting.
I'm going to go East Carolina under 6.5. That's a more recent bet that I made. I would have said North Texas, but that's really leaked out in the last week. Not only over the win total over 6.5, but even some future prices there. But East Carolina, I'm not buying. They named the interim, the permanent coach. They didn't beat anybody really down the stretch. And then there's a lot of feel good vibes because they beat NC State in the bowl game, but just not buying East Carolina. Especially on defense, they lose one of their top all-time rushers too. Actually, I agree. There's a lot of moves I agree with in week one. One that I don't, I think NC State gets revenge against them. So I'm just relatively down on East Carolina compared to market. So under 6.5 for me.
Yeah, fair enough. They're a team on the down now with all the changes, and I agree with that. I'm going to give you credit though, Brad, because you gave out North Texas on our last show in June when the number was way better. So that was a pretty good call, being that the direction is moving in your direction. So I just want to make sure people knew that. Let's move on to Conference USA. Brad, why don't you start in Conference USA?
The most recent, I haven't bet win totals on Conference USA, at least recently. You know me, I bet almost half the teams in college football as far as the win total. But the most recent bet I made was Liberty to win the conference. I know it sounds square, but I just think they're head and shoulders above everybody else in the conference. I think Western Kentucky could be sneaky good on offense, but a lot of unknown there, nothing returning. I think Liberty, reading the practice reports, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They realized that missed opportunity, to say the least. And I think there's locker room issues last year, and I don't think that's going to be the case this year. If you go and visit Liberty compared to some of the other schools in that conference, it's hey, they're a group of 5, but I'm telling you, they're not on the same level. They're like playing a different sport than everybody else. And as long as they keep that locker room together, they have better coaching staff, better facilities, better roster. Give me Liberty to win the conference, even money or better.
I hate to not have any variety here, but yeah, that's the only thing I have bet right now in Conference USA is Liberty to win the league. I thought about betting, and I know a lot of people put out there Jacksonville State win total under, with Rich Rod leaving and the entire team going. That's something that I've heard a few people who I respect really releases a win total, but I did not play it. That something like that always works, especially in a league like Fred just said. Like, the rest of this league is so far below talent level of Liberty. Like, you could throw them all in a blender and they're all right around the same. I mean, so you could see just a bunch of teams just kind of fall into 6 wins by default. And I'd hate to lose an under 5.5, but the team goes 6-6 in a bad league. But I'll just play the safest thing here, Liberty, who I think will win the league. And then, of course, that puts yourself in a position for the conference championship later in the year. They'll be favored, and if you want to get off it, you could just take the dog plus the points or whatever and guarantee yourself a profit. But if Liberty weren't going to make the conference championship game, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, May 29th, I bet Liberty over 8.5 wins, and that moved a lot.
That's a good number. I didn't even get that.
Yeah, it was early. I think my first bet was early May, but that was at DK, DraftKings, minus 130, but still happy about that. Thank you, Brad. Bernie Harris, LA Tech to make the conference championship title game, plus 360. LA Tech, a little bit of a
I like that.
We love Rustin.
There you go. I did take Jacksonville State under 6.5, but I still like him under 5.5 just because I just think Charles Kelly's gonna have his workout film. Rich Rod just left and took people, and the whole team 135th returning production. But you're right, the conference does suck, but I think it's still uphill battle in a honeymoon year for Charles Kelly. And you know what? I almost took UCF minus 16.5 today, but then UCF's got Scott Frost again, and they're also completely different teams. So it's just like, sometimes you have a power rating difference, Brad, and it's just, you're just not, your confidence level is lower, right?
Yeah, especially
I run into that. Yeah, especially in week 1. So just some thoughts out there. How about the MAC? Return of the MAC. Chris, what do you got for us in the MAC conference?
I played Buffalo over. I think there's a really good chance that they're the second best team in the league. I'm trying to. I don't want to bring up nightmares from a few years ago, Kiev, when we got those great numbers on Buffalo when they went up losing the conference title. But I think there's a good chance that this is the at least the second best team in the league. I know Toledo appears to be the class of the league, but they always seem to find a way to kind of not win the title game and win it late. I know it's happened, but I think Buffalo is a team that, especially even week 1, if I can get a 17 against Minnesota, I'd be looking at taking Buffalo plus 17 against the Gophers, who I am high on, by the way. But that could be just one of those week 1 kind of MAC Big Ten games that you look up and it's maybe 38-24 or something like that. But Buffalo's a team I'll be looking into to target, especially during MAC play, and they're I think around 5-1 or so, 450 or so to win the league, and over their win total.
Brad, any agreement, disagreement?
Hate to be boring, but I'm going to echo those sentiments. I Buffalo to win the conference. I bet one of my first bets I made in the MAC, bet over the win total. Still think there's value, even though it's moved to win. They have the best defense in the MAC, and they're talking about schedule. I think possibly the only underdog role for them all year is week 1 against Minnesota. So they're even a team I took a flyer to make the playoffs at 100-1 for pizza bet.
Love that.
So I am pretty high on Buffalo. I early on sold BG. Now I like the hire of Eddie George. I don't like this year's roster. I was going to be selling them no matter who the coach was. Toledo, to me though, like always, has the best roster. I don't have any faith that Jason Candle takes care of business. 15 times the last 4 years he's lost outright as a favorite. 9 times as a touchdown plus favorite. So you just can't trust them. I think Buffalo, Pete Lembo, I can trust. So yeah, Buffalo is the team for me.
Well, unfortunately, Buffalo is freaking doomed, my friends, because I'm also giving
a lot of weight on that squad.
Oh, it's not good. Yeah, that's what I wrote down too. And I think me and Brad were right there. I scooped up that 17.5, Brad. I thought we might have both done that when they against Minnesota. I think you might get it again.
So I missed the number. Yeah, that figures.
Yeah.
Damn vacations. Why am I going over to Europe and missing all these numbers?
You know, I have to hire proxy, just put my phone bets in, for Christ's sake. Yeah, it's a situation where it's just like Taquan Robertson. He played for UConn when UConn was terrible, and he was like the only bright spot. He comes in from Kansas State, and he just didn't get any opportunities there, right? And the defense was great last season, 8th in returning production post spring from Bill Conley. They're doomed now that we all took it. What's up, Bobby Newport? Thanks for stopping by as well. Mountain West Conference. I guess I'll start this one. So I toyed around with the Buffalo and pizza bets and stuff as well, Brad, because I need to hit another one of those babies this year. But I put a lot larger on Boise State to make the college football playoff at plus 194. I just see that they're going to be, minus going to Notre Dame, they're going to be double digit basic, spread in every single Mountain West game. Mountain West is terrible. The only team that I kind of like in the Mountain West is Air Force, and I was late to the party. I'm taking over 6.5 wins. I just did it a couple days ago on Air Force just because Troy Calhoun they win 4 in a row at the end. And, I just feel like, this is the year to bet on the option team. Even though they don't return a ton of people, they return some key guys. And the Mountain West rush defense, I mention it almost every show. People are probably pissed at me about it, but there's historically bad last year, and that was part of the reason Genty got so much love. But I like Air Force over 6.5 still, and Boise State to make the playoffs. Chris?
Yeah, Boise to win the league, Boise to make the playoff, I think are two things that I have not bet either of them yet, full disclosure. But I think the assumption of Boise, just because Genty is gone, and I know they lost some players off that defense as well. But I still think the way that Spencer's built that team, I think they'll be okay. Sire Gaines is someone who I think should come in and maybe not have a Genty type season, But I think they'll be fine. I still think they're the best overall program. I know there's a lot of love for Air Force. There's a lot of love for UNLV, and I'm a big Dan Mullen guy. But we'll see. I still think Boise is the class of this league, even though the gap is closed just a little bit.
All right, Brad.
I'm going to combine the two here. I think San Jose State. I mean, I agree. Obviously, Boise State to make the playoff, Boise State to win the conference. Two bets I love and I have made. But San Jose State I have as the second best team in this conference. I like their schedule. It could be favored in 10 games. I thought Niumatalolo did a great job last year. Totally against the grain. You're thinking, oh, is he still going to run the option? No. I mean, he's pass happy. Love his offensive coordinator. Like the returning production there. Like the schedule. So San Jose State's a team, over 7.5 wins for me. I'm not a big over guy, but that's a bet that I made today, believe it or not. UNLV, I'm kind of selling. I do like Dan Mullen. The roster is super talented, but it's a lot of guys that haven't, 4 and 5, they even got a couple 5-star recruits out of high school, and I think 18 4-stars, but none of these guys have really produced at a high level in college, and putting that all together, not buying it. Just to put in perspective, I flew to Vegas last week to make some bets. A lot of those bets I made were anti-UNLV. There was a sports book in Vegas, the Westgate, posted a bunch of UNLV lines up. I bet against UNLV in every one of those games, including like pick against UCLA. I mean, they're favored by more touchdowns against Hawaii. They were single-digit underdog at Boise. Are you kidding me? I mean, I bet against that was one of the reasons I booked a flight is to fade UNLV.
Jesus. Well, man, that's
pick them against UCLA.
Yeah, hey, that's still. I bet it a couple times. It's still under a field goal. So if you want to go ahead and make a trip, it might be worth it. They had them priced like, they were priced like maybe the second best group of 5 team in the country.
Wow, that's an amazing. I would have.
And that's not even. I'm looking at the schedule now. I'm like, is it because maybe they have a big game or Big Ten game after that? No. It's the week after the Utah game, but it's before they play New Mexico. Like, there's like no look ahead. Like, there's nothing. Oof.
I don't get it.
Make a phone call.
Bernie says it even opened up at +1. So there you have it, man. I under 8.5. I totally agree with that for UNLV. I think they're a completely different team. Another honeymoon year situation. I'm not so much on San Jose State as much as you guys, though. It's not like I have a massive disagreement. I just thought that, man, they were throwing the ball and just the receivers made some great plays last year. God, I was on the +20.5 or whatever it was when they played Boise, Brad, and they were up by a couple. That was me, and maybe that's why I'm so pissed at them. But dude, Jesus, that was I'll remember that one for a little while. Letting Boise score like that at the end was ridiculous. So what did I have? Yep, I already went over Air Force over 8.5. So let's move to the Sun Belt, the Fun Belt. Brad, you have the floor for the Fun Belt.
Yeah, I'm not wild about a lot of teams in this conference. I know a lot of people love Southern Miss. I can't get them, my power rankings, even though I've upgraded them more than any team in the country. I can't get them. Like, everyone's pricing them, like they're going to make a bowl game after a 1-win season a year ago. I can't get there. What I did get to when I made the trip out to Vegas last week was I just kept it simple. James Madison's the best team in this conference. If they take care of business, I think they're 4 or 5 points at least better than anybody else. I like Chesney, their head coach. They got it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They got 3 different good options, in my opinion, at quarterback. I bet JMU 3-1 to win the conference.
I did not make any conference bets or any win total bets with the Sun Belt, unfortunately. However, I did lay. Brad mentioned Southern Miss. I did lay 10.5 with Mississippi State early this season. And like Mississippi State is I don't want to say they have to win that game or will, but to lose to a lesser state school like that, the start of the year, coming off of a disappointing year, I think Levy, the year 2. Now the team he has coming back, and while we all huff and everyone from Marshall's down there with them, like, I don't know, I don't see it at all. I think this is going to be one of those week 1 type games where a lot of people have Southern Mississippi State, they were whatever they were last year, on upset alert week 1, and you look at they're a double-digit favorite. And there's a reason why they're a double-digit favorite. Still have SEC type talent, and they are just a better team than Southern Miss. And it's not like this is going to be this massive, like, home field advantage or whatever. So I lay the 10.5 with the Bullies.
Great bet. Bet that yesterday. Awesome bet, Bear.
I'm on Southern Miss. Man, look at this. They literally took Marshall and brought him up. Who won the Sun Belt last year? Brad?
Marshall, but I thought they were a phony team statistically.
Well,
They're outgained in 7 or 8 conference games.
Yeah, the Sun Belt was phony last year too, but all these kids are growing up, and I assume that Charlie Huff is keeping the only few guys that could play there, right? I mean, it's 22-1, guys. That's what I'm saying. It's 22-1. And here's the good thing: this is the conference that still has divisions, and they're on the opposite side of James Madison anyway. So you can take your 22-1 and you have a nice hedge there if that situation actually happens. Yeah, JMU. That might, I feel like there's a lot of people on it. Don't get me wrong, and you guys are probably right, but I just thought there's just too much value on Southern Miss to not take it. And I wonder if Charlie Huff is he got offered more money to go there, right? And clearly, right? I mean, I wonder if this is just going to motivate him even a little bit more this year. The fact that he almost they weren't paying what he wanted, and then he goes to this team, takes all his guys, and just wants to. I don't know. 22-1.
There was a lot of problems with the administration of Marshall. That was weird, even before the season last year.
Okay. Every year I kind of I want to try and talk myself into South Alabama, but I just can't get there.
Yeah. South Alabama
post spring.
They lost. They got ransacked a little bit in the transfer portal too. South Alabama did, so that's what worries me, right? I think that's what it is. And Bernie's on my side. Let's go, Bernie. Come on. 22-1, my friend. Let's move to the Power 4 and Independence. We got the ACC. Well, Brad already knows what I like in the ACC. Chris, why don't you go first in the ACC since it's nice and fresh to our ears?
Oh, you're gonna put it on me. Yeah. I'm the one that's got Clemson under 9.5 plus 155. I think this is a team that, and I said it they won the ACC last year, but I just wonder, you look at what they did during the year, and you got blown out in an SEC opener against Georgia. You lost at home to South Carolina. You got annihilated at the line of scrimmage by Louisville. You won a game at Pitt that you had no business winning. SMU handed you 14 points out of the gate with turnovers in the ACC championship game. At no point during the year did anybody think this was a college football playoff type team. And then they wound up getting to the ACC title game because Miami blew a 21-0 lead at Syracuse. And I just pumped the brakes a little bit on this Clemson national title type hype. Can they get there? Sure. Maybe it does all come together, and Gideon is the freshman back that they think he can be, and Tom Allen coming in with defense kind of shores up some things because they still gave up some yards at the line of scrimmage last year. They gave up some yards on the ground. Okay, so we'll see if it's a scheme thing or a talent thing. I know their young receivers like Wesco kind of did step up a little bit, but again, opener against LSU. Granted, it is at home. You go to Louisville, you go to South Carolina, you go to Georgia Tech, which is always a tricky game. You go to BC, and I think Bill O'Brien will have his team improve this year with the Castellano saga now gone. SMU comes there, and Rhett would love to get revenge with his group on Clemson. If they win 10 to beat me, so be it. But at under 9.5 at a nice plus price, I'll take advantage of the public sentiment that's kind of in love right now with the Tigers and go the other way.
Brad.
I was an early buyer in Clemson. I wouldn't be buying them now at the current prices. And I don't like when everybody jumps on a bandwagon.
I call that disagreement, though. I'm still calling that disagreement.
So I'm getting ready to say that they're way overpriced in some markets. In fact, the win total jumped at a couple spots at 10.5 in a few spots.
Really?
So, yeah.
Ooh, gross.
Might want to check that one, Bear. That
God.
That even has me thinking, do I want to hedge a little bit here? One bet I have made recently, little square in my opinion, but a team I am buying some hype that people seem to love, Georgia Tech. I love their coaching staff. It's one of my favorite young staffs in the country. Love their OC, Buster Faulkner, just got a big payday.
And he was rumored to go to Georgia at the end of the year. Literally had someone who's associated with Georgia say Buster's going to be our OC, and then never happened.
Yeah, I think he probably has a little bit more control there at Georgia Tech, a little less pressure. But man, I love him. I love the new DC, the Gideon kid from Texas. Like the schedule too. They're going to be an underdog in 2 games. Clemson at home. Yeah, you mentioned very dangerous, and a Georgia team that they easily could have won. They made one play 10 different times. They make a play against Georgia. They could have beaten them last year. Both games are in Atlanta. I'm a big buyer on Georgia Tech over 7.5 wins. I didn't even talk the roster. Haynes King's back for another year. Love the running back. Defense was improved last year. I think that they'll be fine again this year. Over 7.5 for me, even with a little bit of juice there on the over.
Where are you with North Carolina? Everyone's asking me North Carolina, and it's like I don't think talent-wise they're very good, but you look at that schedule, and outside of the Clemson game, it's like you can make a case that they certainly aren't going to say, oh, they're going to lose that game. Like every one of those games is a path to victory. I'm not super high on TCU, and it's like, okay, you got Bill Belichick, who's one of the greatest coaches of all time, and it's not like he's going to get out coached by like Tony Elliott or anybody like that.
I am down on North Carolina. The only thing preventing it from being like one of my favorite bets of this offseason is what you mentioned, the schedule. I just
7.99 is my wins for North Carolina. I thought it'd be lower, but where I have them power ranked, it came to 7.99. So schedule. I can't do nothing.
Yeah, you get Stanford and Cal. I mean, that's
yeah. In Kyle, thank you. They do have a cakewalk schedule. But it's just one of those, such a distraction. In Belichick's used to distractions with Deflategate and Spygate and all. It's just like I told Will on VSiN the other night. I can't make a bet on it just because I'm gonna feel stupid either way. If Belichick beats me because of the schedule, I'll feel stupid, and and if all of a sudden I bet the over, obviously, and they don't, I'll feel stupid. It's just one of those you want to stay away from.
Big swing game Labor Day night.
Yeah, big swing game. Yep, that's gonna be fun. TCU, UNC, right? Brad, did you get Georgia Tech from me? That was like the first text I sent you. It was in March or April.
Yeah, I wasn't buying it yet.
You weren't yet.
No, I wasn't. If you remember that, I don't. Yeah, a lot of people are on it. I finally came around to agreeing with everybody.
I wrote it up this morning for the website, over 7.5, and I had plus money on that, but I still like over 7.5. Win the ACC at 12-1. I'm just like Chris. I am not high on Clemson as everybody else is. I agree with Chris here. The Yellow Jackets rank 18th in post-spring returning production. Haynes King, 73%, 14 TDs, 2 touchdowns. He ran for over 500 yards last year, my man. This schedule, they don't even travel to the West Coast. And sure, those teams are easy, but the travel to the West Coast is always a little head scratcher. They avoid Louisville. They avoid Florida State. They avoid Miami. They avoid SMU and North Carolina. And Clemson at home. This schedule is ridiculous, and they should be able to just schedule their way into this conference game, man. I hope this is the one I kind of is my baby this year, Brad. So I really hope that we get this one, but it's going to be fun at least if we can get them there. They're only plus 500 to make the playoffs for a reason. That's a telling number to me.
I'm with you. I finally came around.
Virginia Tech might be pretty bad, right?
Oh, I agree with that. I bet under. Worried about quarterback, more roster turnover. I don't trust Brent Pry in a close game. 1-12 in games decided by one possession the last 3 years. And you could say bad luck or bad coaching. I watched a lot of those games. A lot of it's bad coaching.
Well, now that I agreed with Chris, let's move on to the Big Ten, Chris, and let's have it, my friend. Let's hear about it.
What do you want to know? Like
Oregon, baby, Oregon. We've had some texts about that.
Yeah, see, I'm higher on Oregon than a lot of people at over 10.5. And I know that they had an injury and a suspension the last couple of days, and you lost Evan Stewart in camp to the knee. But I think there's just this assumption that Dante Moore is a bust because he was thrown into the fire as a true freshman on a bad UCLA team, and it didn't necessarily work out. He was still one of the most highly thought of quarterback recruits in the country that year. You look at the schedule, you go to Penn State and you got USC at home later in the year. Like I bet over 10.5 at plus money. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion they go to Penn State and lose. I think they probably will lose. But if you're looking at the remainder of the schedule, and the only other time you're probably in a close-ish type number is going to be against SC. Like I played over 10.5, and maybe I'm in a position where at the end of the year, maybe they're 10-1 and I got to worry about or a 9-1. I got to worry about a Washington game with the Huskies maybe pulling a little bit of an upset. But yeah, Oregon over 10.5 is I think, look, they have recruited as well as anybody in the country over the last few years. They also find positions that need to be addressed in the portal, and they do that. Maybe this is a little bit of with me. Like you, Brad, you were talking about, you wouldn't buy Clemson now. Maybe I wouldn't buy Oregon now, but back at the over 10.5 plus money, I certainly was buying then. Kind of a little bit of a contrarian viewpoint on the Ducks.
Did you bet the Chiefs too in the NFL?
Yes, I bet the Chiefs to win the AFC.
You're hanging around Jeff Schwartz too much, Chris. I think.
That's one of those bets. Don't you just want to bet that and have it away? Like the Chargers lose Slater, Najee Harris can't see. Your McConkey is hurt. Like bad juju going on there with the Chargers. The Broncos, who knows? Is Bo Nix going to continue to elevate? Rasheed Rice is healthy. Pacheco's healthy. You bring in Simmons at tackle position. You shore that up. You got a motivated Mahomes and Kelsey after getting their ass kicked in the Super Bowl. Like minus 110 to win the West. Like that's like an auto bet for me.
I didn't mean to change the NFL.
No, you're good. You're good. We can go anywhere.
No,
I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about it. I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about Oregon or Penn State in the Big Ten.
I'm not talking about Penn State. I have faith they'll get to the playoffs. I don't have faith they're going to finish out. But Brad knows, and you know that I did take the under. It's just because I just felt that they're Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel, two extremely polished quarterbacks coming in, is a much different situation than Dante Moore. And I think they'll lose in the whiteout, and there's got to be somewhere else in that schedule where there's hiccup. And you know what? Maybe I am sweating it all the way to Washington, Chris. That could happen, and we'll share a few texts back and forth if that happens. But I'm kind of high on Washington, to be honest with you, and I might even have a future bet coming up with them to discuss a little bit later. But Jed Fish, we can't forget what he did with that Arizona program and what they look like without him. You look at that quarterback, Damon Williams, and he looks like a stud to me. The fact that they returned some pretty good production on the running back, their best running back, their best receiver. Yeah, I think Washington's going to be a little dangerous. And they do get some weird spots. Like Ohio State's got two scrubs and then a bye and then them. Just super weird. Michigan's in a sandwich between USC and Michigan State when they face Washington at home. So I'm going to be looking at Washington that week. And, of course, Washington gets Oregon at home. So I'm just kind of high on Washington. Brad?
This must be where you thought I disagree with Bear. I'm selling Oregon. Not that I bet under 10.5. What I prefer, though, because, they're still going to be favored in 11 to 12 games. What I really got after them was in the game of the year market. Another reason I made that trip to Vegas was, they were significant favorites in all those games against Washington, USC, Indiana, Wisconsin. We're talking 2 touchdown plus favorites in a lot of those games. I bet against them at all. I think Oregon's still obviously a top 10 team, maybe even a top 7, top 8 team. But in some of these other markets, they bring price like a top 2, top 3 team. And I don't have that in my power ratings. I do have, I'm going to, put aside Dante Moore's freshman year at UCLA, tough position. What I didn't like was I wasn't impressed with what I saw in the spring game scrimmage. And apparently in the latest scrimmage a couple days ago, he wasn't that good. So I think there's a downgrade at quarterback, even though I'm not a big Dylan Gabriel fan. What I am a fan of is their last 2 quarterbacks, Oregon, probably the 2 most experienced quarterbacks in the history of college football. And now they got a guy that's only, started 8 games. I do think there's a little bit of a downgrade.
Did Brad just put all his college bets in like over the summer here? You bet all these.
It's a great thing to do, and it just goes to show you like those who have faith and confidence and put the work in to get their power ratings out, and you can attack when these games are coming out. You can attack and you can kind of play guess which way the line's going to go in the direction, and you can get an early plan and give yourself opportunities either to take a great line and just go to bed with it, or just try for a middle. So, I mean, it's a great strategy and a great execution by Brad there to capitalize on betting against a team that he doesn't have a great opinion of.
It's a great idea to go, especially if you're confident in your ratings and all the work that Brad puts in. So it's just so amazing how many bets Brad comes into the season with. It just always blows my mind. And thank you, Bobby. Yes, there's a few plus monies on Washington over 7.5. So we're looking out for that.
Where do you guys, before we move on, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kiev. I think outside of Liberty winning their league, I think Penn State just to make the playoff is like the safest possible bet you can make. Now I know you're tying up 3,000 to win 1,000 for a couple of months, but the floor is 10-2, and if they go 10-2, they're going to be in the playoffs. Odds are they're going to be 11-1 or worse because they probably will beat Oregon in September. Like a lot of people, you see that minus 300, and they really like kind of get nervous about laying that type of price. And certainly when you're making a bet in August, you're not going to get paid out until December. Is that something that either of you feel strongly about one way or another?
Yeah, it's a good bet. Not a bet for your average Joe, but it's a bet that I love.
It's a sharp bet. Laying juice like that when it's not even that much. It's a great bet. I don't see them missing at all. They're coming in with some of the best talent around. With chips on their shoulder, they improve their defensive coordinator. I don't have a problem with Drew Allar in the regular season. I just have a problem when it comes to finishing it off in the playoffs, right? So absolutely, I think it's a fantastic bet, Chris. And I might be tailing you on that pretty soon here, especially next week when I hit up the circus. So great call on that. Chris, could I interest you in a little Northwestern over 3.5 wins with a side of fava beans and a Chianti?
I'm going to get to see your Purple Wildcats week 3 when they host the Ducks.
Dude, they have 3 like slam dunks on their schedule. I know one of them's Purdue at home, and I gotta pull them up here in the Big Ten here. I know they're going to be close to the
UL Monroe's another one.
UL Monroe
and an FCS team.
Yep, and an FCS team. That's 3 slam dunks. I mean, they got UCLA at home. And don't forget the quarterback that they got from SMU. What's his name again?
Preston Stone.
Preston Stone. I thought he was a really good quarterback when SMU got him. They just had a better guy, I mean, there's definitely losses in this schedule here. I got my little Brett Ciancia magazine here. There's definitely
they can win game 1 against Tulane.
Absolutely. They could. What's funny? It's like Southern Miss money line dog with Northwestern. That's interesting. Southern Miss. I was looking at that.
Who loves Charlie Huff more than Kiev?
Yeah. I'm going to be either really right or really wrong in week 1, my friend. At Nebraska is possible. Minnesota at home. Come on, there's a win there.
I agree. I love that bet. It's one of my favorite bets I made.
All right. Well, it's been moving up too. So try to find that 3.5. Maybe whatever.
I'm gonna have to investigate that one after we're done here and take some notes here and see if I can go over with you guys here. I played under 8.5 on Illinois, and I laid 160. And I always I will always prefer to take pay the tax, get the extra game as opposed to getting a better number, but under 7.5 at a plus price or whatever. 8, big difference. I mean, 8 and 4 is a logical spot. Like this team statistically did not profile out to be a top 10 or a 10-win type team. And you mentioned Brett Ciancia's number, like his opponent adjusted yardage numbers had them like 48th of like the 68 Power 5 teams, which that's a 7-5 team. I mean, they were an underdog 8 times in 11 games against Power 5 teams last year. 5 times they had a fourth quarter comeback where they trailed and came back to win. Like Purdue, they had no business to be in an overtime game with Purdue. The Rutgers game was a miracle. Kansas turned the ball over a million times. Like they were that close to being like 7-5 last year. And now you have Altmaier with new wide receivers. Can the running back stay healthy? They had to rebuild the defensive line. These people talking about Illinois is like the sleeper college football contender. I am not there. at all. And that game against Duke early in the year on the road against Manny and Mensa, that could be a very tricky spot for the Illini as well.
At Indiana in September, USC in September, in addition to that Duke game. I mean, this team could have 3 losses by the end of September.
Ooh, that'd be a nice way to go into that. Yeah, I mean, I have him 32nd in my power ratings. I'm not no AP top 15. Like
It's middle of the pack.
Yeah, middle of pretty much middle.
That's 8-4. That's 8-4, 7-5. That's right.
Yeah.
12 from the AP poll is not right.
So we're on the Big 12, my friends. I bet this early, and I still like it. Baylor over 7.5 wins. Sawyer Robertson's back, but perhaps more importantly, Dave Aranda retains his offensive coordinator, Jake Spavital. And this team ranks 9th in post-spring returning production, but I thought they were the best Big 12 team. And I did love ASU last year. Don't get me wrong. But, that stupid Hail Mary with Colorado. And I just felt that, they were the best team that didn't win it. And this offense ranked 19th in scoring, 23rd in yards per play last year. They got to fix the defense some, but come on, Aranda, that's your job, dude. You're a defensive guy. So I like Baylor. And you know what? They just got to make the Big 12 game, and maybe I'll have some options there. But that's my play in the Big 12. Chris, what about yours?
I played Houston over 5.5. I think it was 5.5. I can't remember now if it was 5.5 or 6.5. I know that actually it was 6.5. It was over 6.5 plus money was what it was. I mean, their offense was terrible last year. You bring in Connor Wegman at quarterback for Fritz in his second year, ran off the malcontents, and I think you're going to see a lot of improvement from this team this year. I mean, it's a league where we saw a year ago BYU start 9-0, Arizona State, who was picked last in the league, wound up winning it. Like, if you're looking for a complete dark horse dart throw type of team this year, Houston could potentially be that team. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that you're looking at 4-0 Houston hosting Texas Tech in early October there with the start of SFA, Rice, Colorado, and Oregon State. And they get the bad teams in the Big 12. You get Oklahoma State, you get West Virginia, you get UCF. Like, those are road games. And when you go on the road, like, you want to play a shitty team, and they're playing the bottom of the Big 12 on the road. So odds are they can pick up a couple of wins there. And so I'm high on Houston this year. I played over 6.5.
Okay, fair enough. Baylor to win the Big 12 is this, or to go over 7.5, according to Kyle, is deciding week 1. Well, I hope so, because Colorado sucks. So I hope so, Kyle. That I would love to have that decided by then. And Brad, I know that you were part of that Baylor money coming in on Colorado, but what you have for the Big 12?
Georgia Tech, Colorado. Week 1, Baylor, Auburn.
Oh, Georgia Tech, Colorado. Baylor, Auburn. That's it. That's it. So sorry.
Those are 2 big games that are going to probably decide some win totals.
I'm going to be on Baylor.
The Auburn Baylor game.
I'm going to be on Baylor, but I'm going to wait, because I think this SEC love is going to keep coming in, and now it's a 2-point spread.
Hasn't it already come down? Hasn't Baylor taken money? Isn't it like a pick 'em now?
It's been back and forth. Yeah, Baylor even went to favorite for a little bit, and now Auburn's right back to where they were at 2.5. I think if you want Baylor, I agree with Kev. 3 might be there.
Yeah, I think you might get a 3, and I don't like Arnold. I don't know. So you're right. They don't suck as bad as Colorado. My bad for saying that, because it's Georgia Tech, my other sweet team. But yeah, Brad, what else you have for the Big 12?
Well, I mean, I bet Baylor. I like Baylor. I bet Utah early. I bet Texas Tech to win the conference early. Price matters. I wouldn't be betting those teams now at current prices. I think we're forgetting about maybe the 2 best teams, at least on paper, or at least the least amount of question marks. The defending champs, Arizona State. Everybody's back except, obviously Scattaboo is the heart and soul, but still, I love Kenny Dillingham. I think he's a future superstar. Yeah. And I like that he's getting after his team as far as complacency. This fall camp so far. I like the quarterback. I think at every position but running back, they could be better this year. I also think Kansas State might have as much upside as anybody, provided Avery Johnson improves as a passer a little bit. So a couple bets I made last week were Kansas State and Arizona State to win the Big 12 at 6-1.
Step on a duck. Kansas under 7.5 regular season wins. I agree
That's
with you,
coming
Josh.
down.
Yeah, I love Lance Leopold, but man, it's just the team's looking rough this year. So I agree with Step on a duck there.
Yeah, I bet Texas Tech under 8.5 as well, and I know there's a lot of excitement in Lubbock for the amount of money they're throwing around in NIL and the portal, and I think the future is bright there. But at the same time, you look at their 5 road games: ASU, Houston, K-State, Utah, West Virginia. Like, who knows at the end of the year if Rich Rod's got them wound up or not? All those appear like you could potentially make a case that they could lose that game. 6-1 in 1-score games last year. Will that close game luck kind of flip and reverse itself? Do we trust Baron Morton to stay healthy, which is something that he really hasn't been able to do? So you can get under 8.5 plus 135. I've seen. I know that's currently available at DraftKings.
All right, well there you go. I'm not buying the Texas Tech thing. It almost feels like the Texas A&M thing. They get all the transfers in, and it's just a bunch of money just going to waste. It could be like that.
Those are the types of teams that if it goes bad, it could really go bad, because they're kind of, it's just a locker room of interchangeable parts that have all thrown in. They haven't come in and played a couple of seasons together. They haven't been in the recruiting classes. They're not really a cohesive team. So like if they drop a couple of games closely, like I love looking for teams like that, where if it goes south, it could really go south. And I think a team like LSU is another one where if they lose that Clemson game, if they lose another game or two early on, like that Baton Rouge, as you guys know, is an absolute like fire starter of a college football community. They will get after you. The pressure on Brian Kelly, the kids will be looking to the draft. Like that if LSU were to lose that Clemson game and then lose somewhere else early on, that could go very badly in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the SEC. Brad, you have the floor to start out the SEC.
Current, it's a little tough. I certainly thought at the start of this offseason, Alabama was being disrespected in a lot of markets where I bet them to win the SEC, bet them over the win total and whatnot. You can already tell I'm not as high on Texas as everybody else by saying I think there's a decent possibility, at least more than what the odds say, of them, being a 9-3 type of team. I'm going to go a team that Bear already said he's not high on, and it seems like no one's high on this team, or at least compared to recent past history. Old Georgia Bulldogs, the defending SEC champs. They seem to be the team forgotten. A lot of people are coming around the Alabama bandwagon. Obviously, Texas getting a lot of love. LSU's got some upside with their transfer portal class. What Mr. Corso used to say, Kirby's kind of like that old fox sneaking around the chicken coop. Nobody talking about the Bulldogs. Are you kidding me? Gunnar Stockton is a major question mark, and I wasn't impressed with what the game plan or his performance against Notre Dame. But I think the wide receiver position is much improved with what they did in the portal. And, by the way, they've had a top 2 recruiting class like the last 6 or 7 years. So, and another thing I kind of like about them, remember last year at Alabama, at Texas, at Ole Miss, all 3 of those teams are in Athens this year between the hedges. They haven't lost a game between the hedges since 2019. So that's a team I think people are forgetting about, believe it or not, the Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs. Chris, what about you?
I'm in a tough spot here because the juice has certainly moved in the direction that I made bets early on. Like the numbers are still available. Like Auburn over 7.5 is still available. South Carolina under 7.5 is still available. But instead of like -1, I bet Auburn -120 over 7.5. Now it's -160. And South Carolina, I bet like at 130, and now it's 160 as well. So if you're not risk adverse to laying some juice and you just still want that number of 7.5, I think Auburn's a team that could be a lot better last year. Between the combination of bad quarterback play and inability to finish games, that's not a good one. And that's what Auburn was last year. You would assume they're going to get better quarterback play from what they got last year with Peyton Thorne. You got Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton to go along with Arnold now. Offensive line is full of upperclassmen. You got 3 non-conference wins built in. The big opener that we talked about a little bit at Baylor. I think that you look at that like mid-October type stretch, they kind of get a good run there when you get Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vandy. Like, I think 8 wins is kind of a floor for Auburn here. I think there's a possibility that they win more. And if you were looking to, like, remember last year, like somehow A&M was alive to get to the SEC championship game. Like if you're looking for like one of those type teams, like Auburn would be that team. So I'm over 7.5 on Auburn, and then under 7.5 on South Carolina. I remember this time last year, like South Carolina under 5.5, I think was a massive bet because nobody really knew Lenora Sellers was gonna be that, and they would get hot late. So they really weren't expected to be very good last year. Now you've got to replace essentially your entire wide receiver core, interior of your defensive line. Guys like Kennard and Manwari are both gone. Every road game is losable. Missouri, LSU, Ole Miss, A&M. You got Oklahoma, Alabama, and Clemson coming to Columbia. Like, assuming they win their bye games, you got to go 4-4 in those games to get to 8. And I just don't see it as much love and respect I have for Sellers.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm fading Arkansas under 5.5 myself. Pittman smoked. He's done. He lost his 4 receivers, his 4 best receivers. I'm not a big Green guy, but I don't have many bets in the SEC. Step on a Duck says Tennessee looks like a mess. Joey Aguilar is going to have some pressure. I don't disagree with that. A lot of people hate Kentucky. I don't hate Kentucky as much as the market does. I look at them and they're 12th in net transfer portal rankings. I know everyone's betting them against Toledo or betting Toledo against them the first game, but I just feel like I can make.
If Mark loses to Toledo, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's over.
I think that's what people hope they see. I can make an argument for a lot of teams this year. I feel like the SEC is almost as open up as the Big 12 because I can make an LSU argument, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, of course. Georgia, Alabama, Texas is my top 3 teams, but it's not like LSU and A&M and some of those teams are really that far down there because they're ahead of most of the Big 10 teams. I'm a Big 10 guy, but I still have my power ratings. Ole Miss number 11. I have. Let's see here. Texas A&M number 14, Tennessee number 15. I have a lot of teams that are right there. Even South Carolina is number 21 for me. So I just feel like it's way wide open, but I'm just going to fade the Arkansas because I think they're done. Brad, any thoughts on that?
I love Bears 2 bets as far as Auburn over, South Carolina under. I made those 2 bets. Love them. I got to say, if Hugh Freeze goes 7-5, he should be fired. This has to be at minimum 8-4, or he's not the guy. And so I love Sellers, but I don't love anything around him. And I hate the schedule. They're going to be an underdog probably 6 of their last 7 games. I don't know if any team's built to survive that gauntlet where they play like 6 top 20 teams in the month of October and November. Arkansas, I can see it, especially if they lose some games early and it's there at Ole Miss, at Memphis, Notre Dame, all by September. He has 2 or 3 losses before the bye. Pittman can be one of the first coaches fired this football season. So after that, and then you're at Tennessee, A&M. I mean, just not a lot of wins there. So it's going to be vital that those couple games there in September. If he doesn't win them, he's done.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, it's
weird. Yeah, I'm looking at that now. God, if they lose at Ole Miss, they lose to Memphis. And then, God, that's woo.
He's done. He could be cooked because you still have at LSU, at Texas. Yeah, that bye week after Notre Dame. If they're like 2-3, he's done. I mean, I think he's fired. Honestly,
this might be the most brutal schedule in the country. Like this is I think this might be worse than Florida and South Carolina.
It's bad.
Seriously, at Ole Miss, Notre Dame is one of your non-conference, at Tennessee, and A&M, Auburn, at LSU, at Texas. Oh my God!
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I haven't heard anybody talk about that, so I think you're not paying any juice on that one too much. So good bet there.
5.5 under 5.5. How are they winning?
Yeah, I think it's still there.
5.5 minus 130 is what I see at DraftKings. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of outs here in Connecticut.
Yeah,
pull these up, and all the skins are all shitty prices. So,
Well, there you go, man. 5.5. I don't know how the hell they're getting a 6-game win. So there you have it. And I mean, there's a prop there. Pippen, first coach to be fired, as Kyle says. So that could obviously happen too. So there you have it. Well, let's take time. We got to get to a couple quick games here. College football week 0, week 1, and I still want to talk Heisman at the very end, but Texas versus Ohio State. Ohio State's -2.5 now, and the total is down to 47.5. Chris, did you
do that?
I think Chris did it.
Well, I mentioned it on VSiN as well, and I think Brad might have had a little bit more influence on getting that number down than I did.
Yep, love that bet.
All right,
brought my attention. I saw it was on, like, I'm going to bet under here. You got on Visa. I'm like, this thing's going to go. And then I saw at a couple spots there. I don't know, was that you making that bet? It was on a Sunday night. A couple shops took some under money. I'm like, this is going soon. And then that following Monday, within 24 hours, I'm like, it's now or never. So we went ahead and bet under and released it to everyone.
You look at the game last year in the semifinal. That Ohio State offense scored 21 points, and the offense probably won't be as good. Texas's defense might be the best individual unit of any team in the country. You've got a first-time play caller in Brian Hartline with a first-time starting quarterback and saying, I think you're not going to tell Arch to go on the road, especially with that offensive line, and say, go win it. You're going to see a lot of quarterback run. Like, I can see this being like 24-20 type of game and certainly going under. So, yeah.
I think first half under now, when that becomes available, more widely available, I think that's really good too.
Well, I've been known to take credit when it's due, but I'm going to call myself an idiot too when it's due, because I did take over 50.5 on this. It was before you guys said that. I mean, I don't know. I guess I fell for the banana in the tailpipe here. I guess I looked at it like these teams just lost 13 guys to the draft on defense alone, like 8 for Ohio State, and Texas had 5 to the draft, and the defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, leaves, but I'm certainly on the wrong side of this one, man. And if it hits 47, that key number, I'm going to feel even stupider. But, I mean, I got to admit when I make a bad bet too, guys, it's just the way it is. I guess it's not bad till it finishes, but your guys' points are definitely.
Where are you at on the side, guys? I lean towards the Buckeyes a little bit. I'm not wild about it, but it's a bet I made.
I lean towards Ohio State as well. Anytime you've got the best offensive player in the country and the best defensive player in the country, it's a pretty damn good way to start. And I think they really do like saying again, you talk about Ohio State, Georgia, I mean, Texas recruits as well too, but the games at home, like some of you hit on it earlier with Texas, like the wide receiver losses, the offensive line losses, even the A&M game last year, they couldn't run the ball. So like I lean towards Ohio State.
I have Ohio State in the power ratings as a play, but I didn't play it yet. I have Ohio State my number one team. I do. And now is the confidence level super high? Not super high. It's such a primetime big. Well, it's an early game, but it's like the biggest game, really, if you look at it, right, of the weekend. And yeah, I mean, I'll watch it a little bit more. Maybe all this Manning love's going to come in and you get a 2 or something. I don't know. Maybe just take a money line. I'm not dying to like run and bet this most popular game myself, right? But do you fall on that side, Brad?
Yeah, I'm on the Buckeyes. I think there's going to be more Texas money coming in, believe it or not. So. Knowing what I know now, I wish I would have waited. I laid 2.5. I think you can get a cheap money line.
Yeah, I would too, but it sucked to lose 2 bets if my over 50.5 doesn't.
I love that under. Good job, Bear. But yeah, I think you originally.
Let's win it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I saw that move. I'm like,
As soon as
I started snooping around, I'm like, well, why did this move? And you were on Beast, and that's exactly what happened. I'm like,
It's funny because someone who gets your pick and subscribes was like, it sent me like Powers is going to Ohio State under, and I literally, like, I was in my meetings at work, so I could, and then I fire up my on my phone, on my checking, I can just see like 40, 48, 49, 48 and a half. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
good.
it's
Good.
gone.
They hit it perfect.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm,
so
I'm,
I
one, I'm,
heard.
one, see, I'm one of those guys. I just want us all to win. Like the bookie is the enemy. If we're beating him, I don't root for any like other fellow gambler to lose. I just want us all to win and
Well, that can't happen now.
Yeah.
You know, when I heard,
except for you, Kiev. I don't mind if you lose.
Oh, that's brutal. Oh man, like you must have took my Badgers under 5.5. We don't need to talk about that. Yeah, when I heard Chris do that in Visa, and I was just like, well, that one's over. You know, like I say, Brad, sometimes you get the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you, right?
Where are you week one? I know you had a list of week one game. Like, do you agree with that UCLA the Utah move from 3.5 to 6.5? I'm hoping the 7 pops because you could really interest me in UCLA at +7.
Agree. I'm waiting on that. I don't know if it's ever going to get there. There's some other people that are itching, I think.
Okay.
I hope people show some patience a little bit on that one. But UCLA is going to be the side.
Yeah. I mean, it's game one too. You know, I don't like laying chalk on game one, but getting at home. They're at home, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's at the Rose Bowl, yes.
Yeah. I have this as a 3-point game myself. So yeah, I am higher.
If you believe the practice reports, they love Nico so far.
Yeah, and the thing is, they play. I mean, I know they have a lot to replace.
Write that down.
But they showed me something last year after the brutal start. Like late in the year, they fought their ass off. They played really well. And Nico's obviously a massive improvement at the quarterback position. And I think we might have all underestimated Deshaun Foster and that coaching staff a little bit after the whole Big Ten Media Day fiasco.
Well, the way they finished the season, Chris, was really impressive. So I agree. Anyone getting in the Westgate College contest, hope to get enough entries. Absolutely. Brad's not, though. I asked Brad before Chris came on. But Brad probably doesn't
not good.
I know.
Good news for us.
I know that it's better news for us, isn't it?
Maybe I should.
Now we got to do more entries, Chris. Now we got to get him more.
I got 2 entries. I got a Bear Bets podcast entry where we're gonna kind of put in a group entry with the podcast, and then I have my own.
Yeah, I'm getting in with Josh with Duck. We talked about it all summer. We're gonna do a couple at least, and there's gonna be one where I am more control over, and one that he's more control over. But there's gonna be like a 75-25 for each of us because we're just kind of relying on each other a little bit too. So we're gonna have some fun with it. Maybe have a little bit of a show too on Fridays. Tell people what we're doing. So that's awesome. I'm glad that the Westgate stepped up and brought it, and I'm glad that they're putting up more games than William Hill did when they did.
Will Hill too.
Yeah, Will Hill too. Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but no, that's the thing with it because there's no nugget contest, which was kind of that like cheap entry point. Will Hill hasn't done it for a couple of years, and without the nugget having that little blend of college and pro, there really wasn't an out for us college players to really get in there and enjoy college football. So I'm glad John Murray stepped up there. And again, $500 it's a good price because I think you're going to get a lot of people who I'm going to spend $500. You're going to go out there with $1,000 anyway. I'll just enter twice.
Oh, fair enough. So we're in it. That's going to be some fun, Chris. Alabama versus Florida State. Florida State's about +13.5. It's actually, this has been rising here. Total is 50.5. Another one was ugly 50.5. I took Bama. I took my 12.5. I think Brad turned me on to it a little bit earlier this year. Couple of reasons. I think Alabama should play faster now that Kalen DeBoer has his old OC and Ryan Grubb back. I think he was just he was faster a little bit at Washington when they weren't whipping everybody and slowing it down at the end. And I think Florida State's going to play a little faster with Gus Malzahn's RPO offense. And I think they're going to play faster and bad, though. You know, I don't like their quarterback there at Florida State. Yeah, I also kind of like the over. And the way I look at it is this. If this goes under, it's probably because Alabama covered. And if this goes over, Alabama still could have covered. It's like a situation. It's like almost kind of like I'm looking at it 2 different ways in like a little bit of a hedgy way of doing it. But Brad, I know you took Bama too.
Yeah, first week one bet I made way back in January was Alabama in this game. Still it's moved 5-6 points, and I still would bet Alabama. That's how much I liked it. A lot of positive reports coming out of Florida State. My trust factor with the beat writers on Florida State is negative. I mean, because last year there was positive reports coming out of their practices in fall camp. And they went 2-10. I mean, somebody there is not knowing what they're looking at in football. I think Florida State's much improved. I've upgraded them a lot, but they're just not improved. I think Alabama's a legit national title contender, and they're not being priced like in some markets.
Yeah, that's a Kool-Aid drinking media base there in Tallahassee for sure. And we'll see. Yeah, that's one of those things where I'm like, I am so in the tank for like Florida State season win total under 7.5, under 6.5 at plus money. It's like, do I want to dip my toe in the water again and go against them in one individual game? So that's why I have
yes, you do. Yes.
I'll just be happy if they lose.
Okay. Honestly, I could see. I mean, this is one where I could see 42-14. I hate to say this, but I mean, I'd be happy if they win by 14. But I could see a Bama blowout here.
Yes, you could.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, love it, guys. Great, we're on the side. All right, LSU Clemson. This is up to 4 now with the little tendonitis in Nussmeier's leg. That's a common thing. I had tendonitis for years. 57.5 is a pretty high total. Brad, let's start with you on LSU versus Clemson.
I bet Clemson early in the game. It was under a field goal. Numbers matter and new information matters. I'm starting to get the vibe that LSU might be the side here. What I'd prefer, though, is the under. I know big game, I'm boring, but I've liked what I've read about LSU's defense in these preseason camp. I think that, obviously brought in a ton in the transfer portal, second year of a defensive corner, much improved there. Clemson up front should be better. They have to be this year if they're going to even come close to expectations. I just think, boy, that's a pretty high total for a big time week 1 game. Remember last year, LSU, USC, huge total, and that one didn't even come close. I think we get a similar type of game. So under 57.5 for me.
Yeah. It looks like there's a 58 at Circa right now too. At least according to the Wager Talk screen. But yeah, I'm with you. Under is the way I have not played it yet, but I may do that right now, especially if I can get that.
I would wait. I haven't played it yet either. When you said the important thing you just said, 58 at Circa, that has me think, well, somebody bigger with bigger pockets is leaning over. Not that I'm okay to disagree with it. I don't know if we're done yet getting the best number. So
I agree. And
it's that, opening night, public's going to win, but LSU Nussmeier, we got Klubnik and Nussmeier, 2 or 3 Heisman favorites. Let's go over. So that's one where I think close to game day. I think under, and maybe even a better price than 57.5.
Yeah, Perk. You mentioned all the portal stuff, and Baker is Perkins coming back from injury as well. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, and so much talk about Woods and that Clemson defensive line. Like I think under's the side there.
Yep.
In first half under, like Josh says, that's true. All hell does break loose in some of these second halves. But it's funny. It's like you think about Clemson and how they finished the season, all these crazy SMU conference championship game, just they light up 3 touchdowns in a minute, and then how they, how they've played in the playoffs. It just felt like a lot of points were scored. But it's game 1. I look to the under 2, and I think it's too high, and I'll wait. I agree with waiting. But
by the way, Kiev, it looks like your Northwestern Purple Wildcats down to 6 against Tulane week 1. Taking a little money.
Jeez, I didn't bet it yet, so I feel like an idiot. I know Brad took 7.5.
5.5 at Bookmaker.
Brad put it back from.
They're live in that game. Very live.
I think they're live in the money line personally. Yeah. Okay. I got to get on that first because I feel like that could keep going down. But back to Clemson. I like LSU in this game. Past the 3. All right. 4, 3.5. So I guess that would be my little disagreement with Brad. But now Brad kind of agrees now.
I don't know. It's tough trusting Brian Kelly in a big game, though, man.
Those early season games have not treated him well.
Do you trust Dabo Sweeney? 0-3 against the SEC last year. 0-3.
Yeah, but they beat them. That was more a circumstance to think of last year's team. They beat the shit out of Alabama in the national title game. They beaten South Carolina. They've beaten Georgia before. Like that was just a circumstance of last year's team not really being as good as those teams were. And that's the question I have about this year. Spam risk decline. But that's the question I have about it's basically the same team. Like,
I think that was Brian Kelly calling. Well, here's another thing. I don't remember the stat, but I know Brian Kelly passed plus 2.5, 3.5. I can't remember what it was. Brad. We used to say that one, that Brian Kelly's always good as like a dog past 3 or something in big games. I don't remember completely. Maybe that was back.
I was on the field he was past 3 against the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Now I was on the field for that one. That wasn't good.
It was so funny to hear. Obviously, you hear about it afterwards because they weren't going to tell me before, but people on that Alabama team and associated with that team, like when they were preparing for that game, and like the first time they flipped on Notre Dame tape, and they were like, that's who we're playing. That's who we're playing in the national championship game. It was like, oh, this game's over. We got this. And like,
I don't know if you're at media days. I biggest regret in my life is I wasn't a big better. This 13 years ago. It was, they bring on both teams same day. Alabama comes on as a team compared to Notre Dame. It was literally like watching, okay, here's the freshman coming in, the freshman high school team. Now here's the varsity. It was that stark of a difference. It was like, I had my dad with me. I'm like, Dad, it'd be a miracle if Notre Dame comes within 2 touchdowns of this game.
All right. Well, hey, speaking of Notre
we're getting
Dame.
off track. Yeah, we're going way over getting off track. I'm sorry.
No, Brad, this is good.
Who's your favorite team, Brad?
Notre Dame.
Chris, who's your favorite team?
Oh, here we go. You're setting it up. Miami. Yeah. That's where I went.
What could go wrong, my friends? Notre Dame versus Miami, plus 2.5. Miami, a home dog. Look at this. This is the granddaddy of them all for you guys, because these are like your rivals. Although you guys love to bet against your team, so it's not quite as fun as what some of our audience might think. But yeah, I mean, this is it's interesting watching this. It's like Notre Dame, that road dog, just under 3. It's always usually like, oh, a road favorite from Notre Dame. Miami, the home dog here with a pretty dang good quarterback. Well, Chris, I'm gonna have you start on this. The total once again 50.5. Do you have any faith in the Hurricanes?
I do, and I actually have a lot of faith in them this year. Again, maybe I'm a little too close to the sun, but as you mentioned, I'm someone who has been very critical of Miami, and last year their defense and season wins under and everything. And I took a lot of shit and a lot of grief from friends and fellow Miami along that. But in the end, I wound up being I love Iowa State in the bowl game, just all that stuff. But this year is a little bit different. I think you have Carson Beck coming in off of a year last year where Georgia had some uncharacteristic injuries on the offensive line, injuries at running back, drops and injuries at wide receiver, guys getting kicked off the team, and it resulted in a poor statistical year. And ultimately, he wound up getting hurt. Comes to Miami now. They got 3 running back, Fletcher, Lyle, and Shamar Brown, the kid from North Dakota State. They love all 3 of them. They're all kind of interchangeable. They went in the portal hard on defense, brought in some guys in the secondary to shore up a real weak spot. Offensive line should be one of the best 3 to 5 in the country. Mario has really done a great job building that team in the trenches. And I think if you are looking for one potential weakness that really nobody on the outside knows much about yet, it's at the wide receiver. I mean, you've got Elijah Lofton, kind of the H-back tight end, kind of hybrid type guy, but 2 freshmen, Malachi Tony and Joshua Moore, have wowed people in camp. And whether that translates to them being able to go out and face a really good Notre Dame defense, week 1, we'll see. But I think they're really going to rely heavily on that offensive line and that running game. So we'll see what happens. I will probably, if I decide to play anything at all, we'll just play Miami on the money line here and not even worry about the 2.5, because if they lose by 2, I'll still be pissed off. But yeah, it's funny because you're trying to pit Brad and I against each other. But my wife, her entire family is a Notre Dame family. Like her dad went there, uncle, her grandfather was on the board when Arrow was there. So there's a long Notre Dame legacy with my wife's family in Notre Dame. So it should be a good viewing household on Sunday night, August 31st here.
Well, then you have the Steelers versus the Jets right away after that. Wow, you're just getting banged up these first week.
See, that's good. I'll root for the Jets to lose. That's fine. I have no problem with that.
I know your wife's a Steelers fan, so that's
She
fun.
is.
You got the field stir. We'll see how that goes. What do you think? What about you, Brad? You're Irish. Do you have any faith in them going to the U?
I bet Miami. You know a number I got. It was a long time ago. Galaxy far away kind of number. I prefer the under now. And it's moved. You want to know who moved it 3 points in the last few days? I mean, you get an idea. I'm not buying Carson Beck and the wide receivers game one against Notre Dame secondary, so I think they're a little bit more conservative. Certainly not buying Notre Dame's new quarterback making his first start on the road in that atmosphere, so I think they'll be conservative. I think the most trusted part of either unit on either team is Notre Dame's defense. I think they're still legit even with a new DC, and I think Miami's defense is going to be much improved. So, I mean, all those to me point towards under. So that's what I bet. That's what I gave out. That's what I prefer. Side, I mean, I've been a long time Notre Dame fan. Trips to the Orange Bowl, Miami in general, not gone well. They haven't won there since the 70s. And I mean, they've been blowing out every time, including, last time they went to Hard Rock, it was a joke. I mean, it was over in the second quarter. So, I mean, I got nightmares. I'm concerned. It's Notre Dame's toughest game. And breaking a new quarterback, not ideal.
My dad's a Notre Dame fan too, and he's still mad about that. 1989? Oh, man, did he hate that Miami team.
Well, 80, 89, that was, Thanksgiving weekend, 2017.
27-10. Yeah, broke the 23-game winning streak for Notre Dame.
Dell Dawkins, that long 80-something, 3rd and 44, ran the hill.
3rd and 43, yep.
And then Dawkins caught the touchdown.
Yep.
And then
I think Randall Hill caught the 3rd and 43, and then Dawkins caught the touchdown. Yep. I was a little kid and I was distraught. I hadn't seen Notre Dame lose. So.
You history buffs.
And then my freshman year at Miami, I'm dating myself, it was 90. So I went up to South Bend for the game in 1990, and I still have no idea why they kicked to Rocket. And then Craig Erickson decides here's Todd Light. Let me just throw him the ball right there. And
Rocket Ishmael.
Yep.
Yeah. Jeez. I don't know why anybody kicked to him.
So. that still was the best Miami team of my 4 years down there. 90-91, better than the 91 team that won the title, better than the 92 team that lost to Bama, and certainly better than 93.
It sure turns you on to college football. I was in Badger during the Ron Dane game days, and that was awesome. But it's fun reminiscing about all that stuff. But this is kind of bringing that feel back to it. I can't wait to watch this game. I'm probably not going to bet it. I will say massive coaching mismatch though for Notre Dame. Freeman can coach circles around Cristobal. My power ratings have Notre Dame -4, but the whole new quarterback situation makes me stay away from it too, Brad. It's an ugly spot for me to look. As a matter of fact, just because if I gun to the head, I'd take Miami +2.5. It's just a situation where they're the dog, they're at home, they have Carson Beck. It just feels like it's going to play out for Miami, in my opinion. And who knows? Maybe this is going to get to where I'm going to force play on Miami if too much Notre Dame love comes in on this one. So I find that interesting. All right.
I don't know if you're going to get a lot of.
I think the game. I think there's going to be more Miami love. I think the game's going down.
It was going down, but I guess I don't know. I just you're right. Both have big fan bases. I just think Notre Dame's is bigger, but I don't know. That's one to watch, but one that I'm going to not sweat. I'm just going to enjoy it as a fan. So, we can do that. We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to watch games and not have a bet on them, believe it or not.
I'll be sweating.
Incredibly sweating for sure. Well, live betting is always a possibility as well. Just to remind everybody, Heisman Trophy, guys. Who wants to go first?
I'm in love with the board. I normally a guy that makes like 10, 12 bets. I have only made a couple. A lot of the top near the top of the board. The most recent ones I made was Ty Simpson. Just I liked what I was seeing in early fall camp, and I bet Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. I just think he's the best player in college football, and he wasn't being not priced like it in the market. So, but I'm not like fist pound on the table. This is a great value bet. Just not there. That's kind of been dried up. A lot of the players I'd be interested in the past. Like maybe. I'm just throwing examples like the Gunnar Stocktons or Carson Beck's stuff like that. I mean, you're not getting the same prices you were getting even 5 years ago. So they're getting priced at 20 to 1, 25 to 1. Well, guess what? 5 years ago, they're in that 50 to 1 range, and we're just not getting that anymore.
Yeah. The problem is I have a Beck ticket, and this is like, I hate like good saying this, but yeah, but like you mentioned, he's 20 something. I got 33 to 1. And now obviously that number is long gone. And I figured you got to get that before the first game, because if they beat Notre Dame, that price is going to get slashed even further. But he was a favorite last year going into the season. So I think there is a path for Beck if Miami is as good as I think they potentially can be. And then I bet Jeremiah Love, because I think it's the same thing. Best offensive player on a team that is going to the college football playoff. If they beat Miami, there's a very good chance they go undefeated or 11-1 at worst, and he'll probably at the very least be in New York. But you're right, Brad, because last year I think like people we all kind of saw it brewing for Travis Hunter because there was so much uncertainty at the quarterback position, and it ultimately played out that way. Whereas this year, I think we all kind of, or at least I should speak for myself, I don't think we're going to get one of those off the map type winners or a defensive guy or a wide receiver, just because you had that last year. You had the two-way guy. You're probably going to get a quarterback or a running back, even though I agree that Jeremiah is the best player in the country. And I saw you could still get him at like plus 230, plus 250 to win the Bolitnikov.
Oh, wow.
Really?
All right.
I
I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie. Let me double check.
You probably get a slice of pizza though in some of those books.
Yeah, right.
And not a Las Vegas slice of pizza, more like a little slice of pizza.
Odds to win Bolitnikov 2025-26, August 11th, 8:02 p.m. Jeremiah Smith plus 230.
Wow.
I was thinking Ryan Williams, I guess, just because what if Sayan's not that good? What if, we saw Howard, who was a very polished guy coming in, kind of going back to what I said about Oregon. But at the same time, they got Simpson over there, but you're just taking two receivers that are studs. And I think Smith's better than Williams, I think, but Williams is a stud too, man. I don't know.
You know what the funny thing about Williams is, though, Kiev, like if you look at his production after the Georgia game, like I think he had like 2 or 3 touchdown catches like the rest of the year.
That's Milroe's fault.
And he had like one game with
very good.
But that's the question. Is it Milroe or was it teams catching on?
Yeah, I definitely think Milroe was bad, and that's also why I really like Brad's Alabama bet this year too. But I guess did I see him at 40 to 1 for Heisman? And I'd like to look at his
Williams. Yep, 40 to 1. I thought about making that.
Because here's the thing, maybe you do both because I guess maybe Smith does get Heisman and doesn't get the Blitnikoff, right? I mean, there's always that possibility too, right? So you can, hit one and the other. You don't want to get one wrong, obviously, and Williams gets the Heisman or something, and then the Blitnikoff goes to someone else. But yeah, I mean, talking pizza money. I made a massive long shot, guys, and this goes back to kind of what I hinted on before, and it's probably not going to hit, but what 150 to 1. Like I said about Washington, there's a big fish in a big pond, and it's Jed Fish. I think that schedule lines up for possible big upsets for them to happen if they can be one of the 4 Big Ten teams that makes the playoffs, which is very possible. They go to Michigan and win. Maybe they do get Oregon at the very end. Man, Demond Williams looked really good in the little playing time he did. He's been looking great over the summer. Jed Fish is all about him, and he's been talking about him, and the kid looks fierce. And that schedule is very, very favorable for Washington. 150 to 1. I mean, that's at Circa. Yeah.
Did you move that? Because I saw that got moved at a bunch of different places over the summer.
Well, me and Las Vegas Chris took it, so probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's still 100 to 1 at DraftKings right now. I did check that. So that's the one. That's the long shot I did take. But I love all the bets, guys. It's awesome getting you boys together and talking some college football. This hour and 38 minutes? Holy cow! Did this really fly by? But here we are, college football time. Brad, I'll be calling you on you again, and Chris as well. Chris, why don't you tell everybody where we can get your great stuff at Fox Sports?
Oh, Bear Bets Pod, we got one out. We're recording another one tomorrow, and Brett Ciancio from Pick Six Previews will be on that pod. We'll have a college and NFL one, of course, throughout the week. Website getting updated with any other bets or thoughts that we have, and then Big Noon Kickoff will be getting underway from the shoe on August 30th. Number 1 versus number 3. What an awesome weekend, man! You got Ohio State, Texas to start it. Later that night, you got LSU, Clemson, and then Sunday night, Notre Dame, Miami. The 3 top 10 games, all standalone type games, which is great for college football fans.
Absolutely. Thanks for all the kind words too, and all you guys in the chat and the over 2,000 viewers here. Brad, my man, tell everybody where they can get your great information. I know it's coming from a different location, but the plays are always as good.
Yeah, we're trying to tap into a few sports books that I hadn't been able to bet in Vegas the last 10 years. We'll see how quick that lasts, though. But you can follow me on Twitter, BradPowers7, and then I do a bunch of shows throughout the week on a weekly basis.
All right. Make sure you guys follow Chris and Brad. Guys, best of luck in the weekend. Best of luck for your season, and we'll be talking soon.
Take care, guys.